There's a little bit of something strange happening with the Fallout series. It's not a trailer, it's not a leaked screenshot, not even a cryptic Bethesda tweet or whatever, and somehow yet Fallout 5 is already one of the most talked about RPGs on the internet right now, which technically speaking doesn't even exist yet. Ever since Amazon's Fallout series exploded in just fame, the entire direction of the franchise has now shifted, where what used to be quite speculations about someday after Elder Scrolls 6 has now turned into heated debates about canon, location, timeline, and even platform exclusivity. Fallout 5 is not just anticipation anymore, it's under a microscope. So, when the TV adaptation premiered on Amazon Prime, a lot of longtime fans went in cautiously, video game adaptations have earned that skepticism, but against expectations, it didn't just survive, it actually thrived. It captured the tone, the dark humor, the retro-futuristic dread, the absurd violence layered over genuine emotional storytelling, and honestly, Fallout wasn't just a nostalgic RPG franchise, it was mainstream again. Well, all that, then came the confirmation that changed almost everything. Todd Howard made it clear that the events of the show are canon within the Fallout universe, not a side story, not an alternative timeline canon. Which means when Fallout 5 eventually arrives, it won't be operating in isolation anymore, it'll exist in a world shaped by what the show established, politically, geographically, and historically also. That single decision is just where all the division's gonna start. Because if the show matters, then the West Coast matters. The new California Republic matters. The power vacuum into in the series matters. And that immediately shifts speculations from another East Coast setting and towards something far more politically complex. But here's where we need to ground ourselves in reality. Fallout 5 is not coming anytime soon. Bethesda has been actually transparent about its development pipeline. The Elder Scrolls 6 is next, and that game itself has already emerged from pre-production silence. Former Bethesda developers have openly discussed how much larger the studio has become and how that scale has ironically slowed down production. Bigger teams, more coordination, more layers of approval. So if we're being brutally honest, Fallout 5 is likely a early 2030s almost release. It's far beyond Grand Theft Auto 6 or Elder Scrolls 6. And that timeline actually makes the TV show integration smarter, not riskier. Because while the mainline game sleeps in development, the franchise stays culturally alive. Take this, Fallout 76 continues receiving updates, and show continues expanding the universe. Hence, the brand stays relevant instead of fading into memory. In a strange way, in fact, Fallout 5 is being incubated in public conversation years before it is playable. Developers once mentioned wanting a Fallout experience that players could invent up to 600 hours into. That statement triggered immediate mixed reactions. On one hand, it sounds massive. On another hand, modern players are just exhausted by games that promise hundreds of hours that deliver bloated repetition. If Fallout 5 is aiming for that scale, it cannot afford failure by any means. It has to be density over padding, meaningful faction consequences, branching questlines that don't collapse into the same ending, settlements that feel alive without turning into mandatory busywork. Because the RPG landscape in the 2030s will not forgive mediocrity. In fact, it already doesn't. Then there's the engine conversation. Fallout 5 will almost certainly run on an evolved version of Creation Engine 2, the same foundation used for Starfield. That engine excels at environmental storytelling and systemic interaction. Bethesda worlds feel tactile. You can pick up almost anything, break systems in just very weird ways. Modding thrives there, but it also carries baggage, loading transitions, performance criticism, and the expectation gap between ambition and execution. By the time Fallout 5 releases, seamless world traversal won't be a luxury. It'll be stranded. Technical polish won't be optional, it will define reception. Bethesda doesn't just need to improve the engine, they need to evolve it. Most importantly, there is the Microsoft factor. Since the acquisition of Bethesda's parent company by Microsoft, the question of platform availability sort of lingers. Fallout 4 launched across multiple platforms, Fallout 5 might not. Analysis expected to land day one on Game Pass for Xbox and PC. PlayStation, however, remains uncertain territory. Microsoft's strategy has shifted multiple times over the last few years, expanding some titles outward with some other ones inward. If Fallout 5 per se becomes exclusive, it's not just gonna be a sequel, it'll be a system seller. And that adds another layer of pressure. But beyond platforms and engines and timelines, the real question is creative direction. For example, should Fallout 5 lean heavily into the show's narrative threads? Or should it treat them as background lore and forge something entirely new out of it? Here's where we think the opportunity actually lies. Fallout has always thrived when it explores power structure. Fallout 3, for example, was about survival in the shadow of the capital wasteland. Fallout 4 leaned into personal stakes and the ambiguity of institutional control. But the West Coast, historically, is where ideological complexity lives. Democracies struggling to stay stable. Civilization settlements coveting visions of the future. If Bethesda embraced that political tension without becoming constrained by it, Fallout 5 could become the most narratively mature entry in the series yet. In fact, the show proved something important. Fallout works when it balances satire with sincerity. The absurdity of retrofuturism alongside genuine moral conflict. That tonal balance is difficult to achieve, but if Fallout 5 captures that blend, dark humor, moral ambiguity, unexpected heart, it could transcend being just another sequel. Now imagine the long-term strategy here. Bethesda is juggling Starfield expansions, Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 76 support, and cross-media storytelling with Amazon. They're not rushing Fallout 5 because they don't have to, the franchise is just expanded in several different forms. By the time Fallout 5 arrives, it won't be reviving a dormant brand, it'll be stepping into an ecosystem that's been active for years. But that also means expectations will be almost nuclear. Nearly 15 years may separate Fallout 4 and Fallout 5. That's not a normal sequel gap, that's almost generational. Players who explore the previous games as teenagers will now be adults. Technology standards will be way different. Open world design philosophies will have evolved almost incredibly. Fallout 5 can't just be bigger, it has to feel transformative. Right now, Fallout 5 exists only as concept in someone's office and design documents buried in early planning. But it is already shaping discussions about RPG design, cross-media storytelling, and platform strategy. In fact, Fallout has always been about rebuilding from the ashes of something that collapsed. Civilizations debating what the future should look like. The community arguing about Fallout 5 mirrors the world of Fallout itself. Different versions of what the wasteland should become. And when that vault door finally opens, whether it's San Francisco, somewhere entirely unexpected, or a region with no one predicted, it won't be just the next entry in the franchise, it'll be a statement about where Bethesda believes the future of Fallout begins. And if they get it right, would it really matter how long we wait? Because we won't be talking about development timelines anymore. We'll be stepping back into the wasteland, and it'll once again feel like coming home. And hopefully soon, rather than later.